So before we start the podcast, I'd like to thank everybody that's been following the channel in recent days and listening to our Unsung Yankee podcast or series about players that may be second level with the Yankees in the 77 and 78 dynasty years. Today we're going to be talking about somebody who was considered Reggie Jackson's best friend in the Yankees in 77, also the uncle of a former Major League Baseball, the nephew of a former Major League Baseball catcher who had the kind of the same path to baseball that this guy had. So today we're talking about the pride of Holyoke, Massachusetts, Fran Healy. Now, Fran Healy is the American former MLB catcher and has been a good sportscaster over the years. He had a long tenure calling television broadcasts from New York Mets on the MSG Network and Fox Sportsnet New York. In his baseball career, Healy played for the Kansas City Royals, San Francisco Giants, and New York Yankees, accumulating a .250 career batting average. The highlight of his time with the Royals came in 73 and 74 when Healy caught Steve Busby's two career no-hitters against the Detroit Tigers and Milwaukee Brewers, respectively. He had a close relationship with Reggie Jackson while on the Yankees, where he served as a mediator between the fiery slugger and Yankee manager Billy Martin, as well as his teammate, Captain Thurman Munson. How it really worked here in the straw that stirred the drink controversy, where Jackson would say he was the guy that was leading the Yankees. Munson could only stir it wrong. There was times where Jackson was suspended or was benched. Healy was the intermediary, and you see in the Bronx Burning documentary how much respect was between Healy, which is a marginal player stats-wise, and Jackson, who was literally, I think he was making 10 times as much as Fran, if you ask me. Now, after his playing career ended in 1978, he worked on radio broadcasts for the Yankees until 81. In 79, he added the Yankees cable television broadcasts on Sports Channel, which became Fox Sports Net New York, to his resume, staying with the cable crew until the end of the 83 season. Healy worked on Mets telecasts from 84 to 2005, also working as a host of Mets Inside Pitch and Halls of Fame, a series that profiled careers of famous athletes, and originally taking its name from the cough drop company that shared the name, Halls, get it? Halls of Fame. In 87, Healy interviewed former President Richard Nixon during one of his post-game shows, discussing a range of baseball issues of the day. He's one of three sportscasters who was a regular announcer for both the Yankees and Mets. The others were the great Tom Seaver and, of course, Tim McCarver. When Keith Hernandez was added to Mets telecasts, Healy and Hernandez's game calling often became humorous, pointing to a sometimes contentious relationship between the two. Healy was not signed to be part of the Mets' new cable channel, Sportsnet New York, for 2006. He's currently the host of the Game 365 at MSG Network in New York City. The show profiles of many athletes and coaches in sports. Now, Healy's time in the American League was not saying nondescript, but he was basically sometimes a third catcher. In 1,326 at-bats, 20 home runs, a .250 average, 141 RBIs, and ironically, 30 stolen bases. Now, he broke in with Kansas City in 1969, played a few seasons with San Francisco until back with the Royals in 73 to 75. Now, ironically, kind of weird how Kansas City and the Yankees relationship happened over the years. He split time with Kansas City and the Yankees in 76. And statistically, that was one of his better seasons. But in 1974, ladies and gentlemen, he was probably one of the better young catchers in baseball. That year, he had a .252 average based on 9 home runs and 53 RBIs. Now, 77, again, that postseason success, he only batted .224 with 67 at-bats, and 78 only played one game with one at-bat with a 0 average, and of course, his last was a strikeout. Now, postseason batting, obviously he didn't play in 76 and 77 because Munson was getting most of the reps. And don't forget, you had Cliff Johnson in that era too as well. Now, what I noticed about Fran's style of play for the games I saw him is your typical Buck Martinez catcher, and I mentioned that with all respect. Buck Martinez was a pretty good catcher before he became an announcer and the Blue Jay manager with Milwaukee and Kansas City and Toronto. But But Healy, like I said, in a good expansion era, to get a job at Kansas City. And again, a good number two catcher. I was glad to have Healy on it because he was the cool water. But there were certain times where Jackson was up against it, and I think Healy basically, because he didn't take sides, because I don't think he was a Martinite or a Munsonite or even a Jacksonite. But you see the Bronx and Burning, it's a very interesting thing. He got more airtime in that series than probably did on television being interviewed that season. And you can't hold it against him. He's a World Series champion, part of that great Kansas City teams of the 1970s, and kind of ironically before George Brett arrived, where it came to be big. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing with our Yankee podcast from the 77 and 78 teams, like I said, the unheralded ones, please let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And by the way, you've been noticing a lot of people talking about that 77 and 78 World Series because it's probably the highest rated baseball playoff of the era, Yankees and Dodgers. You'll never see that again, obviously, because Yankees are not strong enough to get back to World Series, and the Dodgers, it's a quagmire to get out the NL. Arizona was lucky to get out this year, so I don't think you'll ever see a Yankees Dodgers World Series again. So all the games are quite interesting, especially 78, because Dodgers really blew them out the first two games, and from then on, after Welch threw out Jackson, it was all Yankees. So thanks for listening, and a happy Thanksgiving again week or weekend to all our American followers. We love you, and don't forget, when you see 1.05 million hits on this channel based on 2,100 plus subscribers, the majority are the states, people 40 and over. So thank you for representing our generation well. You don't need to give us a downvote to get recognized. That's a little inside joke. We have a former follower of the channel who's being an idiot and downvoting the podcast. That's disrespectful to you, so I apologize for that person. They should know better. But when you act like a child, you will be treated like a child. That's the way it goes. You gotta be honest. If you don't like the podcast, leave a comment why, and I'll understand. But downvoting it because you don't get your way in a certain aspect in relation to this channel, I don't think it's going to work. Have a good one. Bye.